let me talk about Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. So the Arizona Cardinals right now are 6-6, heading into Week 13 of the 2020 NFL season. They've got a big road game versus the New York Giants this week. Will Arizona win that game? Probably not. We'll see, It's pretty much a toss-up game. I'd probably favor Arizona, but I'm not going to be shocked if New York wins that game. New York's a pretty decent team this year despite not having a great record. But the Arizona Cardinals, they're going through a rough stretch, okay? They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. And they started the year 5-2. They had a 5-2 record through 7 games, and right now they're 6-6 heading into Week 14, and they're currently out of the playoff picture if it started today. The Minnesota Vikings right now hold that final playoff spot as the 7th seed, okay? Now, I picked the Arizona Cardinals to go 9-7 and make the playoffs this year in 2020. I think that they actually have a chance to still do that. I'm going to hold on to my prediction that Arizona makes the playoffs this year. I think it's definitely possible they could go 3-1 over their next 4 games, their final 4 games. But regardless of what I think, whether they make the playoffs or not, I think people are overreacting in regards to the Arizona Cardinals. I think they really are seriously overreacting, okay? The narrative over the past 5 weeks is now that, Kyler Murray has fallen. He's been exposed. Kyler Murray ain't no good. Kyler Murray can't throw. This team sucks. The last 5 games have been solely on Kyler Murray's shoulders. He's blown the season. Cliff Kingsbury's overrated. This Cardinals team's a fraud. Time out, folks. Time out. If you actually look at the big picture of things, the Arizona Cardinals are exactly where they need to be right now. They're exactly where they need to be. Keep in mind, this Arizona Cardinals team was the worst team in the NFL in 2018, led by Josh Rosen. A year later, they get rid of Josh Rosen. They get rid of their head coach. They bring in Cliff Kingsbury. They bring in Kyler Murray. They instantly improve. This year, this team is in the playoff picture, led by Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Okay? They just added DeAndre Hopkins to their team in the offseason thanks to Bill O'Brien, because Bill O'Brien, well, he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but hey, Arizona, they took advantage of that. Arizona has a very good young team, okay? And like I said, this team is competing for a playoff spot right now as we speak today in division with the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. You know what those 3 teams have in common? They've represented the NFC 3 of the last 6 seasons. In 3 of the last 6 seasons, you've seen the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Rams either make it to or win the Super Bowl. All 3 of those franchises have been to Super Bowls in the last 6 years, and Arizona is competing in the division with them. They're right there, people. Okay? Whether you think they're a playoff team or not, guess what? If they miss the playoffs, it's okay. You want to know why it's okay? It's only Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's second season. A lot of you folks thought that Arizona was only going to win about 5 games this year. I heard a lot of people say Arizona's going to be picking top 5 once again. They're no good. They've already surpassed your expectations, okay? They're going to finish the season anywhere from 7 to 9 wins, people. This team is on the rise. The future of the Arizona Cardinals is very, very bright. Whether they make the playoffs this year or not, okay? And people are saying, Kyler Murray, he's falling off. He's no good anymore. If your takeaway from the last 5 games is that Kyler Murray is shell-shocked, that he's done for, that he can no longer throw the football, that he's not a great quarterback, you're not watching these Arizona Cardinals games close enough. Either you're not doing that, or you're just a Kyler Murray hater that wants to push a narrative. Kyler Murray on the season, through 12 games played, has 32 touchdowns total on the year. He's only thrown 10 interceptions. He has a 94 pass rating and is completing 67% of his throws. And you're telling me that guy can't throw? And you're telling me this guy is finished? Folks, Kyler Murray is only scratching the surface, okay? He's a top 10 quarterback right now. Anyone that thinks that Kyler Murray is not a top 10 quarterback, I strongly disagree. And I question what games you're watching. You're not watching enough Kyler Murray football. You're just not. Kyler Murray is carrying this Arizona Cardinals team. He's taking the league by storm, and he's only in his second season in the NFL. If you look at some of the younger quarterbacks in the NFL, take out Patrick Mahomes. outside of Deshaun Watson and maybe Josh Allen, what young quarterback are you taking to start your franchise with today over Kyler Murray? It's hard to find me a bunch of quarterbacks that I would take today over Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is having a better year than Lamar Jackson. I'll tell you that much. He's by far the best quarterback from his draft class. Arizona's hit on a quarterback. That's exciting. Arizona should be excited this year. And by the way, the rest of the NFL better hope the Arizona Cardinals actually don't make the playoffs this year. You want to know why? Because if they do make the playoffs this year, that tells me they're ahead of schedule. They're much ahead of the curve. They should not be competing for a playoff spot at this point in the Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury era. If you would have told me that 2 years after the Arizona Cardinals were the worst team in all of football, they might have a chance to make the playoffs in the best division in all of football, I'd tell you Arizona is way ahead of schedule, people. So, listen, people, stop saying Kyler Murray can't throw the football. Stop saying Cliff Kingsbury can't coach. Stop saying this team is done for. This team is right where they need to be. They're improving. They're a contending team this year for a playoff spot. They could very well get into the playoffs. That'd be very exciting. They're about an offensive line piece away from really being taken seriously. You know, they might need another pass rusher. Chandler Jones coming back this next year off of injury definitely is going to help this team out. So if you add a pass rusher, if you maybe add one more good offensive lineman, maybe a linebacker, maybe a tight end or two, if you add a couple of pieces to this Arizona Cardinals roster, I guarantee you this team is going to be a playoff team, you know, next year, 100%. And this year, they very well could make the playoffs despite having a very tough schedule and despite playing in a very tough division. Arizona is exactly where they need to be. Kyler Murray is a top 10 quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury is one of the best young coaches in all of football. Kenyon Drake's an underrated running back. DeAndre Hopkins might be the best wide receiver in all of football. They've got a good young secondary. Budda Baker, you know, Byron Murphy, Patrick Peterson. He's still getting it done. Steve Keim, their GM, is very, very good. He's a very comparable GM. Steve Keim might be the most underrated general manager in all of football. He's that good at his job. Arizona, they're definitely moving in the right direction. And do not panic because ultimately, the Arizona Cardinals are right where they need to be. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.